Picture this. It's a chilly April night in 2016, and Prince posts a snapshot of himself shrouded in violet light. Hidden in the image's code is a single razor-edged sentence. Just when you thought you were safe. 48 hours later, at a Paisley Park dance-off, he grabs the mic and jokes, "Wait a few days before you waste any prayers." The crowd laughs. No one realizes they've just heard a farewell. That line would echo louder than any guitar squeal, because Prince knew the end was closer than his audience did. But that cryptic post was only the spark. Before the world called him the artist, Warner Brothers called him property. The 18-year-old kid from Minneapolis signed in 1977, handed over his masters, and sprinted straight into superstardom. MTV exploded. Little Red Corvette blasted from every dorm window, and money poured everywhere, except into Prince's own pockets. By '93, he'd shaved Slave onto his cheek, touring with the word scrawled in eyeliner so thick even the nosebleeds could read it. 2 years later, he ditched Prince altogether, morphing into an unpronounceable glyph just to dodge another clause in another 90-page contract. Finally, on December 31st, 1999, while the world panicked about Wazi 2K, he quietly let the last restrictive agreement die, emancipated, or so it seemed. Freedom, though, came with a brand new trap. The 2010s promised digital salvation. Enter Jay-Z's Tidal. On paper, it looked like the future Prince prayed for. High-fidelity streams, artist-owned equity, no middlemen. Behind the velvet curtain, lawyers whisper the paperwork granting Tidal 15 entire Prince albums was backdated, inked after his death, not before. His estate screamed fabrication and sued. Jay-Z fired back. In public, it was business. In private, sources say, Prince felt burned by yet another corporate friend turning into a shark. And while the ink dried, a far darker crisis brewed in Prince's body. April 15th, 2016. A private jet slicing across Midwestern night. Suddenly, Prince collapses in the cabin. Emergency landing, Moline, Illinois. Paramedics hit him with Narcan. Reports label it a flu scare. But Narcan only revives one thing, an OD'd patient. Prince dismisses the hospital within hours, boards the plane, and plays a surprise show the very next night, because the myth has to look invincible. 6 nights later, the elevator doors at Paisley Park refuse to open. 6 nights. That's all the margin he bought himself. 6 nights that rewrote pop history. 6 nights later, the elevator doors refused to open. Medical examiners blamed an accidental fentanyl overdose, but Prince never wrote a prescription for fentanyl in his life. The pills stamped Watson 385 looked like Vicodin, harmless, FDA-approved comfort for decades of onstage splits and knee slides. Inside, enough lab-cooked fentanyl to silence an army. In 2024, the Department of Justice finally cracked a coast-to-coast counterfeit ring, flooding exactly those pills onto the market, charging 18 traffickers who disguised poison as pain relief. Meanwhile, Walgreens, the same chain his estate once sued, just agreed to a $350 million federal settlement for mishandling opioid scripts. Different courtroom, same catastrophe. The pipeline that took Prince is still open for business, but Prince believed a human hand, not blind chemistry, signed his fate. Friends swear Prince had names, executives, promoters, even fellow artists, locked in a safe, primed for public reveal. Michael Jackson warned of devilish label bosses before his own mysterious passing. Prince toured arenas quoting those very speeches. Rumor says he planned to show receipts proving a decades-long pattern. Black icons fight for their masters. Black icons die suddenly. Coincidence or cartel? He never got to ask the question on camera, but the theory never died. It only changed hashtags. Family too felt the storm gathering. Tyka Nelson, Prince's baby sister, told the Minnesota Star Tribune he spent 2 full years prepping her for goodbye. "I've done everything I came to do," he'd repeat, half smile masking exhaustion. 4 days before he passed, she rang him. He cracked a joke, dodged her worries, hung up. In November 2025, Tyka herself passed away, leaving behind 2 sons and Prince's final confidences. Did she inherit the sealed envelope? Nobody outside the family knows, and nobody inside is talking. Yet even in grief, Paisley Park kept humming. June 2024. Fans pour into Paisley Park for celebration. 2024. The lights dim, and 10 unreleased tracks roar through the speakers. Early demos of Let's Go Crazy, jazz experiments, even a father-son jam called First Time I Saw You. A year later, Jay-Z resurfaces at the negotiations table, co-curating Originals 2, a 15-song compilation dropping on what would have been Prince's 67th birthday. Love him or doubt him, the vault keeps expanding, and the fight for rightful control is finally tilting toward the purple side. So what does the purple one still whisper from the vault? But the battle for ownership didn't die with the artist. It simply changed uniforms. In 2021, 3 of Prince's 6 heirs sold roughly half of the estate to publishing giant Primary Wave. The other siblings dug in, accusing business advisors of seizing too much control. By July 2024, a Delaware judge ruled those advisors, L. Londell McMillan and Charles Spicer, couldn't be booted without breaching the company agreement, freezing any quick sell-off plans. The result? Paisley Park's royalties, licensing deals, and even tour ticket revenue now move across a chessboard where every piece is family. One wrong move, and the catalog could fragment for good. Which raises the question, who really plays Let's Go Crazy when half the board is corporate? Keystone, Law, Forbes, Pitchfork. And while lawyers argue percentages, a new generation of pop stars is scribbling purple lessons into their own contracts. When Taylor Swift announced her Taylor's Version re-recordings, industry execs gasped, and historians nodded. She was lifting straight from Prince's playbook. If a label owns your masters, record new ones, and make the old versions obsolete. Labels have since scrambled to rewrite contracts, extending the waiting period before an artist may recut their songs, an explicit reaction to Swift citing Prince as inspiration for owning the story. Meanwhile, Beyoncé quotes his mantra, "If you don't own your masters, the master owns you," in university panels. Indie darlings like Keshi call Prince their North Star for releasing music outside the label machine. Even law journals now reference the Prince precedent when arguing that re-recording is a lawful path to copyright reversion. The glyph may rest in Paisley Park, but the strategy is alive in every studio from Seoul to Stockholm, which means the next purple revolution could drop in your playlist tonight. University of Cincinnati Law Review, blog LosAngelesTimesPeople.com. Prince once challenged an audience to imagine what we'd all be like in our own game. Maybe that's the riddle he left. The only way to win is to own the board. The glyph on his album covers wasn't just a name. It was a legal loophole, a war cry, and a warning to every creative soul watching. He predicted his demise, protected his sister, and possibly held a list that could still shatter boardrooms from LA to Wall Street. Now it's our turn to decode the clues. Which power players do you think he was about to name? Drop your theories below and, before you log off, hit that subscribe button. The next story might be closer to your playlist than you think.